Hey everyone, welcome to the Fireside Chat number 36 on Crushing Classical, redefining a thriving classical music career. I'm Tracy Friedlander, and today we dive into the topic of your playing career and where it will ultimately end up in the future. Whether you have a job in an orchestra, or you're on a faculty, or you perform as a soloist, chamber musician, or freelancer, everyone at some point has sworn that they won't be that guy or gal, the one who hangs on for dear life and won't give up their gigs past their prime. No one wants to be that person where people talk behind your back about your playing decline or publicly in reviews, and no one wants to be asked to leave by management, or as my recent podcast guest Zenaba Bowers said on her interview, pulled off stage by one of those huge hooks. Today, we talk about what you can do starting now to prevent that from happening to you. And the earlier you start, the better. Think of it as a retirement plan that no one can sign you up for except for yourself, and it's way more important than money in the bank. Before we start, a couple of quick things. Please join the conversation at facebook.com/crushingclassical as well as Crushing Classical on Instagram. If you love what you see, it would mean so much to us if you would comment on posts and share them with your classical musician friends and colleagues. And if you haven't done it yet, join our Facebook group, Classical Cats. We continue the conversation inside the group on the topics we talk about on our episodes. We also recently made some improvements in the group. There are some awesome resources about things we've talked about regarding your Facebook feeds, as well as a post that organizes all of our episodes by category. So now you can easily find an episode if you're looking for a certain topic. You can join Classical Cats at facebook.com/groups/Crushing Classical. I'd also like to thank Fix Music for being a sponsor of Crushing Classical podcast. Have you checked out Fix for your sheet music purchases yet? I'm so excited to have them as a sponsor. It's a really great site. Fixmusic.com is your online resource for affordable, high-quality sheet music. Fix offers unique buying options for individuals, teachers, and schools. Whether you have a large private studio or you run a music program, Fix has a solution for you. Contact them through their website for more information. Fix offers priority and priority express shipping at super affordable rates, meaning they do not pad their shipping rates to make more money. If you need sheet music fast, Fix will expedite it to you as inexpensively as possible. Also, remember to use the discount code CRUSH and get 10% off your order. Let's get started. So,
Yeah, so here we are. So
that
I
hot wing
haven't
show.
I haven't seen Hot Ones the last time I saw it was when Gary was on it, and it was really great.
I mean, well, the guy is really good at interviewing, and
Yeah,
I didn't know what to expect when I first saw it either. I'm like, what is
I
this
didn't
show?
either.
It's so weird
I
and
know
random.
it is, but his questions were so relevant. I mean, he's one of the best interviewers I've ever
Oh my God, I
listened to.
know.
I know,
Hey,
right?
can you
Yeah.
turn up your volume? Like, you seem kind of quiet to me a little bit.
Okay, so usually what I do when we talk is I hold up my microphone the whole time we're talking.
Really?
Can you hear
I
this
gotta get you
now?
a headset or something. Like a like a
Yeah.
like an operator, where the microphone's like right in front of your mouth.
Yeah, that's fine, except that these are in-ear earbuds that I use. And
Okay.
so, and I like that. And also I have a problem. My ears are really small. So
Aw.
they're really small. Like, yeah, one day I'll show, they're really small. And so, even the openings are small. And so I had to buy special earbuds from Apple. I can't use the traditional earbuds that they sell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to buy, they have a few smaller versions and they're much nicer, by the way. They're much more, they're like $100, but they're really nice. But
Oh,
I
wow.
had to buy those. Yeah, because I can't use traditional earbuds. My ears are too small. The opening of my ears is too small.
Interesting.
So yeah, yeah. Seriously, so one day I'll show you my ears. They're actually really small. Like I mean they look proportional, but I'm just saying for a lot of like how some people's ears are kind of they stick out or they're big or
Yeah.
that's not me. I have like
I was gonna say,
genuinely
like,
small.
to have small ears doesn't seem like a problem. It seems like a good thing because most people are like trying to deal with ears that are too
Yeah,
big or sticking out or
exactly. Yeah, I was
whatever.
definitely born with like what you would call petite ears. I'm like not petite in any other way except for my ears. You know, everything else is like giant size, you know.
Someone told me ears never stop growing, and that scared me because, like, my grandfather had like enormous ears and earlobes. Like someone just said, like, "Wow, they just don't stop growing."
I don't
I'm
really
like,
know who
what?
said that. That's a little weird because my
I
ears
know.
are the same size. They have not changed.
Okay, my volume is doing this weird thing where it sounds really loud. It's going up by itself. I just turned it down.
I promise you I'm not doing that.
No, I'm doing like I manually turned it down and it went up by itself. You
Oh,
just did
that's
it
weird.
again. It's like going up. That's
Is
bizarre.
it is it on your microphone it's going up?
Yeah, like, because I'm like, wow, I'm really loud in my own ears. So I opened up my system preferences and I could see that I could adjust the input volume. And so I lowered it, and then the little thing is going up by itself. Like, I
Oh.
move it with my mouse and then it goes up. Like I'm
So
watching it move by itself.
so we're gonna have paranormal activity over like maybe paranormal activity reports over at
Yeah, there's
Shay
like,
Friedlander.
what is going on? It's so weird that it moved by
Yeah.
itself.
So this
It's
this could be
moving
part of
up
your
by
stories.
itself.
This could be part of your stories.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do a story right now. Can't believe this is the thing is I forget to, I'm like, ooh, I should do a story like right before, the 7 day or something. And like, it's moving up right now. Oh my gosh. Well, I look terrible because
Because you
I'm
just got
looking at
up, that's why.
myself. I have my glasses on and my headphones and it makes my glasses go up. And right when I put them on, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I know, but everybody likes the nerdy look.
Nerd, yeah. So I'm doing a story right now. Look, guys. Oh my gosh. Watch this. I'm lowering my internal, my out input. Let's see if it's going to move by itself. Oh, it just did. It's moving by itself.
Creepy.
Oh,
Creepy.
maybe there's a ghost in it.
Could be.
Okay. Well, there's my
Awesome.
first story. Maybe I should just
By the
keep it
way,
open and lower it
by the way,
as we go.
we have not seen the groundhog lately. What's going on, please?
He left. He moved. Should do a story about it. He's just
You
gone.
haven't
I haven't
seen
seen
him
him
at
in
all?
weeks. No. I think he
You
ran out of
prob
food in our yard or something. He
I was gonna
left.
say, did you stop feeding him? Or maybe you weren't feeding him.
I wasn't feeding him.
Well, that's the problem. That's why he left.
I
He found someone else. He found some
know.
other sucker.
I know. I'm not feeding
He
that
went to another
fatty.
yard. He found some other sucker. But honestly, I don't know that I would leave that safe haven underneath that, what is that, a shed out there?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing. Like, what other animals can live under there that I wouldn't want here? Like
Yeah, maybe you
rats.
should put like skunks maybe.
Oh my God, I know.
You could, because if Bernie gets shot by a skunk, that's gonna be a fun day for you.
Oh my God, I know. He
Just
already
saying,
smells bad. I'm
right?
not
He's a
kidding.
dog. He already has
Yeah.
that problem.
I mean, he's old, so he's got like permanent bad breath.
Oh yeah, totally. My cat is 12, and she definitely, yeah, yeah.
It's a
Sometimes I
smell
try
thing.
and sneak a look at her teeth to see how she's doing. You know,
Oh, Bernie
which
has
she
terrible
hates.
teeth.
Yeah, her teeth are
Really
nasty.
bad
I mean,
teeth. Like
they're
he,
not like horse. She can still chew, but they
yeah,
can't be all that good. Because they don't get the same. They don't get like regular dental care.
no. Bernie's dental care was when he goes in and gets teeth removed. That's
Right.
it.
That's what happened with my cat too. I took her
Yeah,
in and she had to get like 3 or 4 teeth removed. That's her dental care is teeth removal.
yeah,
That's it.
I know.
You
It's
can't
kind
really
of a
do anything.
shame.
Although they do that tartar cleaning deal,
Right,
but that's super stressful. I mean, they always have to put her to sleep for that, obviously, and because she can't, she just yeah. No. And so
right.
I don't want to do that anymore because she's a senior. You know what I
I
mean?
know, I
It's
know, I know. I don't like it
it's too
either.
it's too stressful for her. So, but anyway, you want to dive into our topic today?
Let's dive in. Let's dive in. So
Okay,
we were,
so
yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, you tell the story. Go ahead.
Well, this week is a 7 day challenge, so it's been really awesome. And if you are
Yeah,
listening right now and you haven't signed up, you got to sign up for next time.
yeah, you
So
totally missed
seriously,
it, man.
you
You
missed
missed
like a
it.
party. You missed a really,
It was a party. It was, and I mean, like there was some, a lot of really intense moments, but
Yeah.
definitely it was overall, it was like the local bar everybody wants to hang out at. That's what it was all week.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Hmm.
It was great.
It was
And
great.
so I feel like we built like this mini community in there over the week, and we're gonna keep it going because like I feel connected to everyone even more now
Yeah,
because of the
man.
challenge and the sharing that was going on in there. So
Totally.
yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. Totally.
So then this week Zenaba Bauer's podcast interview came out
Hmm.
on Thursday, and there was something that she said on there that made me crack up, because I was listening. When I'm about to release an episode, I need to listen to it again and remember what we talked about so we can do the post about it. And I told Eileen what the thing is that she said, and we were cracking up. And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is what we should talk about on the next Fireside Chat." And I'm like, "That's perfect." So what she said was that she knows that she doesn't want to go. She doesn't want her career to. She wants her career to end. Her playing career to end more like Seinfeld and less like Happy Days.
Yep. It's so great. It's so great. And of course, and you made it crack when we were talking about this. You said, nobody wants to be the 75-year-old. How did you say that? Nobody wants to be the
Yeah.
75-year-old, like still,
Still in their
you know,
seat when everyone wants you to leave. Like she said on the
yeah.
podcast, like, I don't want that big hook to come out and pull me off the stage.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like, it's like, people get into an orchestra and then, there's always that, 75-year-old guy who's still there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and ideally nobody really wants to be that.
No. And
I mean,
everyone says during their career, oh, I don't want to hang on for dear life. I don't want to be like that guy who won't leave when he knows his playing isn't up to par
right.
anymore. Or maybe he doesn't know, which is even worse.
Yeah.
And everyone around them is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know? Like
Hmm.
I've seen it so many times in every orchestra I've played with.
Yeah, every orchestra
And
has at least one of these guys or gals, whatever. It
yeah.
doesn't,
Oh yeah, it
the
can be women
gender's a
too.
non-issue. It's a guy or a gal,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Yep.
exactly. All the time. And there's like, yeah, and it's I don't know if it's an ego thing or I mean it's probably partly related to the ego, like like the identity thing, like who am I if I don't have this title anymore once I
Yeah.
leave? What am I and who am I? And that was her point, is that she's building two other businesses. One is an ensemble, and one is what we talked about on the podcast mostly, which was her and her husband's excuse me, travel business.
Yeah.
And that was the point, is that like she's creating something else so that she doesn't have to stay, so she doesn't feel that she's stuck financially, like, oh, I can't leave. Because I think some of
Yeah.
it's that too. Some of it's clear people are staying on because egotistically they can't step down. They don't think anyone else can do it, or it's just part of their whole identity. But some people are like, I can't financially leave here. This is what I
Right.
have for my income, you know?
Yeah,
And
and I
it's
think it's
really hard to
really
get fired from an
admirable.
orchestra.
It
What?
is. I just think it's really admirable that she is willing to come out and say, and of course,
Yeah.
Zenaba is very open and just flat honest. She's extremely, I think, self-aware.
Yeah.
And so that she's willing to come out and say, I'm going to take responsibility for my career in a way that I've seen other people not take responsibility for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
That's
that's
really
the
what she
missing piece
said.
of the puzzle, is that you
Yep.
have to take responsibility for your career. So this is another example of, like, I think it was maybe last week or the week before, on the fireside we were talking about the fact that um, some younger folks think that entrepreneurship stuff is meant for people who don't get a job in an orchestra. Like, oh, that's for the people who are failing at at winning a job. And
Yeah.
this is another example of why that's totally false,
Yep.
you know.
Totally. Mhm.
So it's just
Yep.
it's one
Yeah.
way that you can not be that person is if you have
Well, and I
something
think,
that's yours.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think what might be valuable is, what does it look like is to have a discussion about what does it look like to take responsibility for your career such that you are going out like Seinfeld and not like Happy Days.
Right.
What does it take to do that? Um,
Yeah.
and of course, we're
Yeah.
just gonna obviously toss around opinions here,
Right.
which is pretty
Exactly.
much all we ever do. But right, it really is. But I just think it's a valuable discussion to have
I
because
definitely
there are a
think so
lot of
too.
people, like I think about your husband who has been how long has he been in North Carolina Symphony?
Um, 12 years.
Okay, that's what I thought, 12 years. And so
Yeah.
what I think about is, once you're getting to that 10 to 20 year mark, what are you thinking at that point? Like, aren't you going, I realize that when our parents, my parents, I mean, I'm in my 40s, and so our parents and the generations before, they got jobs and they stayed there the whole time.
Yeah.
That doesn't really
Yeah.
happen anymore. And so I think about someone like your husband or people like David who are, they've been in an orchestra for 10 over like 10 plus years, let's say, because that's a milestone. When you've been
Yeah.
somewhere for 10 years, aren't you starting to look around and go, what else is there?
Yeah, he is. And it like
Gotta
it
be
gets to
something
that
more.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Because you're
gotta be
going,
something
okay,
more.
how many more years, like, especially, one thing she brought up on the podcast was the repetition. And she knew, everyone knows what you're getting into when you get into an orchestra, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, unless you're totally
Yeah,
clueless.
you're going to play Beethoven 9, you know, X number of times over your career.
Yeah.
I
And,
mean,
and that's
you're going to
okay
play
too.
Mahler 1, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of repetition in this.
Yeah. They're going to play Star Wars every season twice, maybe
That's right. They're
three
going to play
times.
Harry Potter until the next cool book that's not Harry Potter comes out, right?
Right. And Harry
Because at
Potter's
one time
been
Harry Potter
popular.
didn't even exist.
Right.
I don't know if it necessarily still is, but I think about, what they or like Lord of the Rings,
Yeah. Oh my
you
gosh.
know.
Lord of the Rings is not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it's still a cult deal. And so that's what I mean though, is like when the next new thing comes out, the orchestra's going to have music in front of them playing that, you know. There is a
Yeah.
repetitive, so that's what I think about is I get why people want security. I get why people want to get a job in an orchestra and I have no problem with that. And what happens when you start looking around going, what else is there?
Right.
You know. And I think that's, the what else is there? Why don't you look at it now
I know.
instead of later?
Because it
And
takes time to build something. You can't snap your fingers and go, "Oh, I have a side hustle now."
well,
You
it's
know?
funny you say that. One of the things I was talking to my brother earlier this week, and he's applying for another job that he found a really cool job online. He's like, and he's by the way, he's very happy in his current job. Like he enjoys the work. It's good work. And I
Uh-huh.
said to him, and I'll say this to, this is like apropos of what we're talking about. I said, this is the best time for you to apply for that job. You know why? Because you don't give a shit if you're going to get it. It doesn't matter if you
Yep.
get it or not. You're
Oh
totally
my
not
gosh,
attached. It
totally.
doesn't matter. You're just applying but you're not unhappy. The worst time to change your life is when you hate your life.
Ugh. Oh my God. You're so
You know
right
what I
about
mean?
that. When you're
And believe me,
attached
I've done
to,
it. Huh. Hand up over here. I've done it
yeah. Oh my
a
God.
couple of
Yeah.
times. A couple of times. You can't wait until you're desperate to make a change or to look, So what's your Seinfeld? Because if you're not in your Seinfeld now, but you're satisfied, now is the time to find your version of Seinfeld.
Oh my
Because if you
gosh.
don't, you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, you're gonna that shit's gonna be painful. I promise
I
you.
know.
Because I've been through that.
Yep.
I've done that. You know.
Yeah, totally.
I think
Oh,
people, I think we wait too long to figure out what their Seinfeld is going to be.
I agree.
you know?
I
And I
agree.
think
And
it's really, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, hopefully people understand this reference. Some younger people might not remember what
Oh,
happened with
yeah,
Happy
maybe you should
Days.
explain it. I didn't think about that. Maybe you should explain that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, Seinfeld was super popular through the 90s and early 2000s, I think, right? It
I
had
think
like
so.
10 or 11 seasons or something. And then Jerry
Yeah.
was like, the show is over. We're going to end on a high note. People still love it, and we're
Yep.
stopping. You
Nobody was
know,
sick of it. Nobody was sick
nobody
of
was
it when they
sick of
went
it
out.
yet.
In fact,
Yeah.
everybody was really, when they decided to close it down, you know. They
Yeah.
definitely they left on a high. They left on a
They
total
left on a
high.
high.
They were at the top of their game when they decided to call it.
Yep, they were. And everyone still loved it. And everyone still bothers Jerry about, starting it up again, even. I saw him in an interview. He's like,
Oh,
no.
really?
And
Oh.
his answer is, there's a reason why you don't work in TV.
Ah,
To the people who are asking.
ah. And he's and the really cool thing is that guy just knows. Like he really knows.
Oh, he really does. Like, he's without a doubt, he knows. And like, when people bring that up, he's just like, he just always has an answer because he knows, which is great.
Yeah.
And then there was Happy Days, which, I mean, the term jump the shark came from the fact that Happy Days went on too long. And I don't know if anyone knows that phrase. Like, I can't believe it because I remember listening to Howard Stern back in the 90s. And I remember
So
when
I'm sorry to
what,
interrupt you. Can you just explain what jump the shark means? Because I've heard it, but I don't actually know like the real meaning of it or
yeah,
what's the
sure.
reference? Yeah.
So there is an episode at the very end of Happy Days where Fonzie um, takes his motorcycle and he jumps like a body of water where there's supposedly sharks in it.
Okay.
And and so and so in the late 90s, I'm listening to Howard Stern every day on my ride to work
Mm-hmm.
and loving Howard Stern. And there's one guy on the show who comes up with this term, jump the shark, and they're like, what does that mean? And he's like, well, remember when this episode happened, like it was really the pinnacle moment of like when Happy Days was clearly like over and they're still doing it. And
Yeah.
so he like coined the phrase that jump the shark means that. And so then they had this like
Okay.
little mini series and where they were like talking about when other things jump the shark. And so he essentially like wove a new term into our English language by doing that because I mean, you might not have ever heard that term before, but you can find it. Like I'll read an article and be like, that's when they jump the shark. And I'm like, I can't believe this is being used. Like I heard that in
Mm-hmm.
like 1999 or something,
Okay.
on the
Yeah.
Howard
Okay.
Stern
And I
show.
wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to Howard Stern at that time, but I mean, pretty much everybody else I knew was. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's
It's so funny. It's so funny that they like this guy just decided that that was going to be a phrase that people use and it actually is now.
that's really funny. Well, and the thing is, like, that's what I think about when I think about, my brother applying for another job. It's like the best time, he's still in his heyday over there. Like he hasn't even
Yeah,
reached the top of his deal over in that, he can stay or he can go. It doesn't really matter. He's just looking for more
exactly.
freedom. He's looking for, a little more excitement in the work he's doing. He's looking for a different kind of work, that he really enjoys doing. And that's why, and, just the position appealed to him. So,
Exactly.
but it doesn't matter if he gets it or not. He doesn't care. Like it's not going to
That's
kill him
the
if he gets it or he doesn't, you
that's the
know,
best place to be. Like to create
best
a
place.
to create another business, like to take it back to our example that we're saying, like to create another business when you have an orchestra job,
Yeah.
best time
Best
to
time to
do
do it.
it. You already have
To
income.
create a
There's
side
no
hustle,
worries.
to do
Yeah,
something unique, that's the best time to do it. When you've got a gig and it's comfortable, if you will, but if there isn't some discomfort in your life, I promise you the discomfort will come.
right. It's
If you're not if
inevitable.
you're not yeah, if you're not creating discomfort, I promise you there will come a day that discomfort will just show up because you get bored
Yep.
and
And it doesn't
restless
just
and
have
I
to
don't
be an
want to be here
orchestra
anymore.
job.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It could be anything. It could be anything,
Right.
you know. It could be a teaching job,
Totally.
you know. It could be, I don't know. It could be any playing career,
Yep.
any teaching career. It really could be. And so, you know, find your Seinfeld, man. You got to do it. And you probably have some sense of what that is, by the way. I think people tend to do the standby, oh, I'll just teach. Oh, I'll just start an ensemble. Oh, you know what I mean? And here's the
Yeah.
thing, there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but there's so many other things you can do, you know.
Yeah.
We did that interview with Ken where he talked about creating Quest, remember, the educational show?
Yes. Ah, that was such a great episode. It was so long ago
Such a good
too.
episode. Yeah, it's an episode that you can listen to. It's I don't remember which one it
It's one
was,
of the
but
first
he talked
fireside
about.
chats. I
Was
can
it?
link it in the show. Like I'll link it in the show notes or something. I think it might be fireside chat number 4 or one of the really early
One of the
ones. We
early
had
ones?
Ken on,
Okay.
and the title has something about making 6 figures as a you
Yeah,
know
that's right.
from choir director to 6 figures is what it's called.
Okay. Yeah. So he was a choir director, which, it's his own version of a music job. And, he wanted something more. He wanted to create something bigger, greater, and he tells that story. And, so I'm just using that as an example. I just think there's a lot of, in the classical music niche, there's a lot of, going to what the standby thing. And instead
Yep.
of imagining what that could be, imagining what, you know, uniquely you could create.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you use the word imagining or imagination because that's all it takes. You just have to invent something.
Hmm. Yep. You really do. And I think about what you're doing right now with Contempo Ensemble, and what I think is really, I actually like what you did, which is there's a ensemble that exists right now that you looked at and said, I just love that ensemble. It's New Deco, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're doing such unique things, and it's really, I love that they're reimagining, if you will, what a ensemble is and what it does.
Hmm.
And so, but you took, this is why you do the podcast, right? Because um, you can draw ideas and inspiration from someone else who's gone before you.
Exactly.
That's why you got to listen to the interviews. That's why you have to listen to the interviews because, um, I'm not saying that you don't know or that you can't figure it out or that you can't imagine on your own. But if imagination is not the way you operate right now, this is a really nice substitution until imagination returns.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sort of like what you always say, like you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You need to like
No.
look around the marketplace and see what appeals to you and what's attracted to you, and then you can mold it to fit what you like.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And it's
Yeah,
better to do that when you're in a situation where it's not going to make you or break you if you do or you don't. I think people
exactly.
wait too long. That's that that's the we're talking about earlier, the 75-year-old who never gets out of the chair. Or like the hook does, pulls him off the stage, as Zenova
Yeah,
said,
because stuff doesn't
right?
happen. Stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like we've been doing Crushing Classical for more than a year now,
Yep.
and it's now I feel like it's when it's taking shape,
Yeah,
to
it's
what
just now
what it
taking
really
shape.
is.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
we're actually growing roots now.
yeah,
And it took a long time to get here. And I mean, I suppose, in it didn't really take that long, but it feels like a long time. When you've been doing something for a year and a half, it really takes,
yeah.
it's been a while, you know.
Oh yeah.
And
And
so,
Contempo is at its infancy right now. And like,
yep,
we've had our first rehearsal and then someone went out of town, so we didn't do it this week and it felt weird. Like, wow, we have to stay in this conversation. We've been meeting ever since the first meeting. We had a meeting or rehearsal every week. And um and then we skipped this week and it felt weird, you know.
yeah, yeah, totally. I get that. And so, I think that's I think it's better to begin looking now at what that looks like. And I sometimes I think people look at crushing classical and they go, "Oh, they hate jobs and they're advocating, I can't take that risk." And okay, this is the thing is I don't care if somebody does something unique full time or part time. The purpose of crushing classical in my mind, and I'm going to speak for myself and you can say it for you, is that this niche needs to evolve.
Yeah.
It needs to evolve. It needs to evolve beyond orchestras the way orchestras have been being orchestras, the way
Yeah.
orchestras have been programming, the way orchestras have been operating fiscally, the
Oh my
way,
gosh.
seriously, the way orchestras and even musicians are viewing audiences because they don't get it.
Yep.
And I don't mean the audiences don't get it. I mean the musicians and the people running orchestras don't get it.
Oh my God, you're so
I
spot
want to
on
get
with
rid of the
that.
should. I want to get rid of the should. People should love classical music. No, that's just not true.
Yeah.
Nobody should anything.
And one thing we should have a beer over here is that orchestras, professional orchestras, mostly their job, like because they're run by a management. So the
Hmm.
management wants to appease the board, right? And the board
Sure,
wants everything to be copacetic, like
that's right.
money's balanced. We're in the
Right.
black. I
No
almost said
risk.
blue. No
Keep it
risk.
safe. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And
Keep it
so
safe.
these meetings happen, and I've heard about these meetings where the management invites the board, and sometimes musicians get invited because that's some hobnobbing. They get to meet musicians, and that's fun for them and stuff. Um, and the biggest news is, hey, look how we're not taking risks. Look how we're in the black. Look how safe everything is.
Yep.
Keeping everything calm, and there's
Hmm.
no, innovation
That's right.
and things like that. That's not going to happen because that could cost money. Like it's all
And
about
listen,
saving money.
it is, and here's the thing, like the whole point of crushing classical, why are we not working with orchestras? I'll tell you why, because the change isn't going to happen with orchestras, it's going to happen with you.
Exactly.
The only thing that's going to change classical music is the musicians themselves.
And you know what? I look around sometimes and I go, why aren't people just starting orchestras left and right? I mean, like there's enough musicians to start orchestras everywhere. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to start an orchestra, but and then you could have freedom to do whatever kind of music you want. You could write your own music. You could have guitars in it and all kinds of crazy stuff. That's what I
Well, I
love
mean,
about
you could be democratic about it. You could even have members, and it's all member. Um,
Run.
what do you call? It's almost like a co-op, like It's all member driven. It's all member run. It's all member. All the music is decided by members by
Yep.
vote. Like the whole thing could be like a co-op.
Yeah.
It
I
really
know.
could.
There's so many possibilities of what could happen.
And if it's done that way, this is you could actually play music or even have music commissioned that audiences love. Like people will pay for entertainment. That's proven. We know that. We look around. People pay for entertainment all day long. They love entertainment.
Yeah. And
Money
when
is
do
not the
orchestras
issue.
get sold out? Like money's not the issue. No.
Money
I
is not
mean,
the
look,
issue. Everybody thinks money's the issue. No, it's not.
let's talk about how when we were kids, I know this is random, but when we were kids, did people decorate their houses for Halloween? No, they did
I don't
not.
remember that. I don't remember that we ever did. No.
No. Maybe you carved a pumpkin, but you didn't put
Yeah.
orange lights out and buy a
No.
$100 ghost
No.
that inflates in your front yard. I heard some stat that this country spent like over $1 billion on Halloween decorations and Halloween crap. So there's not a money problem here. It's just what people
Nope.
want to spend their money on.
That's right.
So yeah, so and then you can look where do concerts sell out? What do they sell out? They sell out when you're playing something they want to hear. Oh, interesting,
All right.
So Lord of the
What a
Rings always
concept.
sell What? Yeah, I know.
What a
So
concept.
Lord of the Rings always sells out. Anything Star Wars always sells out. But you know what else sells out is like these concerts. Like I recently had Steve Hackman on the show, and his
Hmm.
episode is coming out right around Thanksgiving. His shows sell out. He has these like mashups where he does like Brahms and Radiohead, and it's music that he wrote. And people, there's a cult following for Radiohead. Like if people don't
Hmm.
listening don't know this, it's like people who are fans of Radiohead will go anywhere. They'll go to the ends of the earth to hear anything Radiohead.
That's right. Yeah, they have a major cult following. Major.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not saying everything that you create has to be something that already exists on the planet that people love, but certainly doesn't hurt. And you can combine that with something new and modern that you create and create the audience for that, you know?
Yeah, totally. Totally. And that would
Yeah.
be
And this is what
amazing, you know?
evolution looks like.
It
What?
is. That is what evolution looks like. And that's, but I just, I think we're sort of, we're not sort of, we are on a mission to change the face of classical music, but
Yep.
it's really funny I think the most difficult thing about this movement is the musicians are like, yeah, just let us know where to be. We'll show up and we'll do our little thing and we'll go home. So
Yep.
they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like they are not that they're the ones who are going to change it, but I don't think anyone gets this. You really are the only thing that's going to change it. Like no one else is coming.
Yes.
The
Exactly.
boards are not going to change a damn thing. They're not going to change orchestras. They're not going to change the repertoire. They're not going to change anything. I'm serious. It's not
Right.
happening.
Management's not. You know what
Nope.
management cares about? Getting a paycheck for themselves.
Paycheck. They're waiting
Seriously.
for the paycheck. That's all they care. It doesn't matter to them.
They don't even care about you. I hate to say
No,
it, but what they care about is getting their paycheck for their job they're doing. That's all they're
that's right.
doing. They're
That's right.
not
I
they're
mean,
not
look,
invested. They're not
nope.
invested in it like you are. Like you're doing this thing you've been doing your whole life and you love it and you show up to your new job and you think that everyone else feels the same way. Maybe there's some other musicians in the orchestra who feel the same way, but I guarantee you that on the management side, they're doing a job
Hmm.
mostly.
They are.
You know, I can't speak for everyone. I'm sure there's an exception. Someone's going to call me up. There's an exception,
Of
but
course. Yeah. Someone's going to whine always. Everyone's got something to say. It's so
yeah,
funny, like, it's funny. We make generalizations and then people get all uppity about, well, Tracy, you don't know about, right?
yeah. You don't know about my manager or my CEO is doing this and the other. Okay, good. That's
Good. Thanks for
awesome.
letting me know. I'm glad to know somebody gives a shit where you live. That's great. You know, I'm serious. Like, because that's just rare. I mean, you just
It
have to know
is.
that that's an exception. That's what that is, you know?
Yep.
Um, it's rare to see somebody in the nonprofit world innovating,
Yeah, I
you
know.
know? That's
Exactly.
another good episode we did with Sherry.
Oh my gosh. I think it's number 9. Yeah.
How do
Yeah,
you
that was
did
great.
you just memorize these numbers? What is this?
Well, I've told so many people about that episode
Oh, okay, is that
that I
why?
just remember now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's such a great
So,
episode. But yeah, so I mean, it's innovation, it's going to come from you. And I mean innovation not just from a, changing the face of classical music perspective, but changing your own career perspective.
yep.
If you want to do something unique and you want to go out like Seinfeld, you're going to have to create it. Really.
Yeah.
You're going to have to
Yeah.
reimagine what this career looks like.
Totally. And you know what? You know what's lucky right now is that this is like untapped resources. Like look at like if you look at indie singer-songwriters, there's like a dime a dozen, right?
Oh,
But
tons.
but like in the orchestra world, there's not a dime a dozen of self-created orchestras. That doesn't exist,
Mm-mm.
you know?
Nope.
So there doesn't need to be a
Nope.
worry of, oh,
It's
that
funny
person
because
already
I
did
talked to
that. You know,
somebody
I'm
a
looking,
month
oh,
ago after the first 7 day challenge. I talked to somebody who wanted to start a youth orchestra in Germany,
uh-huh.
and I'm not going to say where it was or who it was because privacy. But um, you know, she came up with the idea and said, "Okay, I'm gonna." She rented a space actually for it, and she gave herself, I think, 3 months to put it together. And from the minute that she, essentially, from the minute that she imagined the idea and then got the space, and actually, she paid money. She rented the space.
Oh yeah.
And I think she had to sign a contract for like 3 months. But basically, she gave herself 3 months to put the orchestra together, and then the space was rented 3 months from that time, right? And so, but she didn't make it happen. Like in 3 months, she gave up on that idea inside that 3 months.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where on the first day, the downbeat for the rehearsal, the youth orchestra rehearsal, she had secured 6 people who said they would be there, and 2 people couldn't make it for the first rehearsal.
This was supposed to be a full orchestra?
This is supposed to be a full youth orchestra.
Yikes.
Hmm. Yep. And so this is what happens though, is people come up with an idea, but then they don't follow. Like there's a whole bunch of series of steps. You know, there's a
Right.
whole series of steps to go through to actually make something come alive. And frankly, it starts, I'm just going to be straight, it starts with the 7-day challenge, like the one that we just did,
Oh yeah.
or that we're just finishing. That's what it begins with. It starts there. Conversation has to start there.
100%, because that's where you start to see what stops you
Yep.
in general.
Start. Yeah. Why haven't you, you know, why haven't you pursued plan A if there is a plan A? Why haven't you broken out of certain constraints that you have on your
Yeah.
life and career? You know, what's in the way? That's
Yep.
what and if you don't sort through that, it's unlikely that you're going to create. And I know that that's what was going on with her. She just had massive, massive constraints during that time. She was
Interesting.
trying to create that orchestra. Yeah. This was a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you remember Chicago Youth Symphony? That was the best. That was the time of my life.
Oh, me too. I know. It's
That was
great.
like, Dirty Dancing, for like 2 years,
Yeah.
It was like
Actually, it's
summer
funny.
camp all year long.
It was. I know. We got to connect with our music friends, people
Hmm.
who were as motivated as we were to
Yeah.
have music as a huge part of our lives.
Yeah,
Totally
we got to
different
be
from,
normal. We got to be quote unquote normal in a room with abnormal people when we didn't fit in at school,
right. I know, it's
because
really
anyone
great.
who, you know what I mean? Anyone who pursues anything seriously doesn't really fit in at school, public
Yeah,
school.
that's true. That's true.
You know, you're in the minority.
Yeah. And so in her case, probably in everyone's case, I know it's the case where I've been stopped in my life. It has to do with just it's related to a lot of other areas in your life at the same time,
Yeah,
you know?
everything plays into it.
So that's
Every part of
why,
your life figures into it. Hmm.
yeah. So that's what's so great about the 7-day challenges. You get to see and make those connections.
Hmm.
And that's what people are doing right now. And that's what I was doing this week too.
Hmm. Yeah, it was really something. We saw
Yeah.
all of us
Yeah.
saw a lot of things, including myself, actually.
Right. And through
Saw.
people sharing on there, like I started to see things like because people were being open and sharing their experience, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that about my own life.
Yeah.
Like I had revelations about my own crap, like because I was reading other people's sharing
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
I know, right? We became this really tight unit. We're on day
Yeah.
6, by the way, right now. We're not even at day 7 yet. Day 7 is tomorrow, but so we're about to do day 6. But um, I feel like this is family now. After 6 days, I
Yeah.
feel like, or 5 days actually. We're just starting on day 6. I feel like it's family now. You know,
I think so too. It's amazing.
yeah. It was just really cool. So yeah, if you that's where it starts though. Like if you're genuinely interested in, I just can't plug it strongly enough. I just can't because, and we didn't necessarily know what it was going to be when we started it. I mean, of course, we have an idea for what we want it to be, but it's become so much more than that. It's so
In
much
fact, I think
bigger
we're going to
than.
do more. I think we're going to do them more often.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna do. I mean, we talked about doing one. In fact, why don't we just commit?
Yeah, right now.
I don't have my calendar in front of me, and I can't. If I move out of the app, I'm gonna ruin the recording. So, can you look on your calendar and tell me? We started
Yeah.
our challenge on November 6th. So, what would be
Oh,
4 weeks from that?
December 4th.
Okay. So, I think we should do. We talked about this yesterday. I think we should do a another 7-day challenge on December 4th.
Yeah. Um, that's a great idea. Because the next one was going to be January 8th. So
Yep.
we could keep that January 8th one because we wouldn't want to start one on January 1st, probably.
No, no, no. Well, and listen, I can't because I'm going to be headed out of town. That's the week that I got to finish up moving out of my place
Right.
and getting on the road. So I definitely
Well, let's
cannot
just
lead a
say
challenge.
December 4th.
Yeah, I can lead a challenge during January 8th, but not January 1st.
Right, right.
And
And
plus, you know
anyway,
what it
that's
is? Like you know how the year starts? Like people are wah, 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 back into the year, like, you know, dum, dee, dum, dee, dum, dee, dum. You know what I
Holidays
mean?
are
Like the
over.
first week of January, most people are like coming out of their holiday slumber.
Oh my God, I know.
You know
Because
it's true.
you eat everything bad. You
Yeah.
drink.
Like you
You're
gain,
over
you now have a belly that you did not have before,
Yeah,
or
you're
a bigger belly.
overextended. You're overextended from all the socializing you've done for the last like 3 weeks.
Yep, totally. Because, it's like one big party between Thanksgiving and January 1st.
I know.
Let's be honest. That's
I
what
know
it
it
is.
is.
The whole world
It
sort
really
of shuts down. Well, the US anyway, shuts down,
is.
you know. So yeah, so I mean I think we'll do one. Let's plan on doing one on December 4th. But if you haven't done it, you just need to do it. So you just
Yeah.
need to do it.
Yeah.
It's nothing like you think it's going to be, and so whatever you think it is, I promise you it isn't that. And because I think I've surprised everybody about what it is.
And the second one was so different from the first one that
Totally different.
if you're
Yeah.
listening right now and you're like, I don't think I've done this one. I've done it already. No, you can do it
No, you
again. You
haven't.
can do it
Yeah,
every
you have to do
time.
it again because every time we do it, it's going to be different. I can
Yeah.
promise you that every single time we do it, it's going to be different. Because it was really cool to do it differently this time, and I want to do it differently next time again. Because you have to get new things. Every time you do it, you have to get new things.
Yeah.
And I want people to repeat it,
Yeah.
you know? And by the way, if you want to wait till January 8th, if you already did it and you want to wait till January 8th, fine.
Right.
That's cool. But I just want to open it up to other people. So,
Yeah.
I just feel like we need to do it again, especially this year end that we're getting in this. It's just a good time. It's a good time to reflect and reevaluate and look at your career and your life.
Totally. I mean, at the end of the year and is in the beginning of the year is when you decide that you want to make changes. New Year's resolutions
Yep.
always come up,
Yep.
and so it's a great time to do to do the 7 day like right before New Year's Day,
It
actually.
is. It is. It's a great time. And also it's after Thanksgiving, so it's not gonna knock that around, and it's well enough before Christmas that um you can participate. It's
Yes.
slow. That's a slow time. The first week of December is a slow time. In fact, I used to go to Vegas at like the first week of December. I did that for 3 years in a row because the first week of December is a great time to travel. I mean, you could shoot a cannon through the airports and you wouldn't hit anyone.
Really?
No one is traveling the first week of December, and the rates are amazing. Like the flights, the fares, amazing
Because it's
every
right
time
after Thanksgiving and people
because
just
nobody's
travel.
flying. Yeah,
Right.
because nobody. And by the way, the planes are empty.
Yeah.
I mean, there's business travelers obviously, but compared to the rest of the year, the first week of December, planes are empty. And by the way, Vegas is empty. That's one of the reasons I used to go. Nobody was there. It was great. It was awesome. Everybody else is like, I want to go to Vegas and be around people. I'm like, I want to go to Vegas and see some shows and go eat some great food and no crowds,
Yeah. I've never even
you
been
know?
to Vegas.
You haven't been at all?
No.
No way.
Yeah, I haven't.
Really?
Uh, yeah.
Okay, well, I can just tell you that 3 days there is plenty.
I've
You don't need more than that.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really three. That's it. Fly in, stay 2, maybe 3 days, and then fly out the fort. Done. Out.
Right.
Yeah, you just don't need to stay there that long. It's really not. There are some great shows though. Like it's worth it to go eat really great food because they have amazing restaurants, and then go see some shows. Like Cirque du Soleil has amazing shows.
Oh, cool.
Amazing shows. And there's some other shows there as well that are great. But I'm just saying, like that's really the only reason to go. I'm not a gambler. I've never been one. So I mean, if you like gaming, that's fine. But that's not my thing.
Right.
There's something for everyone. Let's put it that way. There's something for everyone in Vegas. But 3 days, plenty, plenty. So yeah,
Someday I'll go.
America's Playground. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So just definitely, um, yeah. I mean, and I think about part of the reason why I bring up the 7 day challenge too is because we're talking about reimagining your career. You
Yeah,
need a you need a starting place. That's what we call the starting line challenge because you're at the
exactly.
starting line.
Yeah, if anything that we said about, not knowing what to do later in your life struck a
Hmm.
nerve here, then take action now about
Yeah,
it.
don't wait. Don't wait until you need another gig, until you hate your current gig,
Oh my God, I know. I know.
because I think about, like again, I think about someone like David who's been in the orchestra for 10 plus years, and he's probably like, I'm sure that he would love to, I don't know, take a sabbatical and go do something entirely different for a year.
Yeah, he's talked about that. And like when I started crushing classical, I was to the point where I was like really unhappy in my career. And it was more,
Hmm.
I think it was more stressful to start it actually,
Sure.
because, you know, I was like a little freaked out.
I know. What if you would have started it in year 5? I only
Oh
say, because
yeah.
you were 10 years, you did
Yeah.
10 seasons, right? So I say 10 years. You did 10 seasons with North
Yep.
Carolina Symphony, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if like year 5, so you're 5 years in, and you would have started Crushing Classical, or, and maybe not Crushing Classical, but something, right? Contempo, it
Right.
could be anything, right? So
Yeah.
how would that be, how do you think that would be different, or how do you think that would have been different? I know you can't like, redo it, but I'm just curious.
Well, what it would have been different was I wouldn't, I still would have been, let's see, 5 years ago. Well, 5 years ago, if I started it before I became a mother, that would have been
Yeah.
different because
Yeah,
I would have
sure.
had, there's so much stuff, there's so much time on my hands that I had that I blew off, binge
Oh
watching
yeah.
shows or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. That's actually a really good point. I mean, that's actually what you're doing when you're not, creating something else, or creating, whatever. You're not exploring, is you're sitting, you're twiddling your thumbs. You're doing watching Netflix. I don't know,
Yeah.
right?
That's what I did. Oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's not actually productive time. And I'm not saying all your time has to be productive, but I mean, you could be exploring. Why not?
Yeah, that's the point, is that you don't have to spend all your time doing it when it's in your spare time.
Yeah.
There's not pressure.
Yeah.
It takes
Yeah.
it takes time to build an audience.
It does.
And if
And that's what you
anything,
need. That's what you need in order to do this. You actually need an audience.
exactly. And if anything, just start building an audience. Even if you
Yeah.
don't know what it is that you want to do.
That's right.
And we've gone into that a lot of times on episodes, and we'll continue to talk about it. Like last week when I said everybody can be a public figure. And this is where you find out during the 7 day challenge, honestly. And just, I mean, I feel like I've really figured something out. Like, I remember when I first was introduced to this concept, I was like, what do you mean? Like, when you started telling me this stuff, I was like, what do you mean, Eileen? Like, I don't get it. Because I was in the place of, I have two choices. I can teach lots of private lessons, or I can go back on the audition track.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see the possibility. And now I see it, and I look around and I go, I can't believe that person doesn't see what they could be doing. And I see it everywhere, and I see every person what they could be doing.
Hmm.
Just my
Yeah.
version doesn't mean it's the right version.
Yeah,
but
but it's
I
a
see
version.
it's a version and I go, wow, and like you said last week, like the resume is old school now. Like
Secondary, man.
it's secondary.
It's different. The world has changed. The resume is not the leader anymore. It doesn't even start the conversation anymore in most cases.
Yep.
There was a time that was true. You remember
Yeah.
monster.com?
Yeah. Does that
You
exist
remember
anymore?
that's I don't know. There's another site called, oh God, am I going to get it right?
But now there's things
Indeed.com.
like LinkedIn, right? So it's like a social
LinkedIn.
network to
Yep.
find work as opposed to like a place to just throw your resume up and have people find you that way.
Well, what's really funny, I call LinkedIn the online resume repository. Um, but that's because I think, because I hate the whole resume thing is why I say it. I
Yeah.
mean, I make fun of LinkedIn incessantly because it's just, for me, that's what it is. It's an online resume. It is. It's just a stack of resumes. Like if you want
Is
to,
it?
you don't
Okay.
even, LinkedIn's free. Like, you don't even have to pay for Monster anymore. You can just go on LinkedIn if you want to find resumes. No problem.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
looking for somebody who's looking for a job or, somebody for your company or whatever, you can just go on LinkedIn for free. It's nothing.
Right. Right.
you know. So yeah, I mean, but that's really what's happened though, is it's changed everything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
And social media has changed everything.
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's changed
I
the
think
face of
musicians are
everything.
pretty clueless about LinkedIn. Every musician that I know is like, well, what I need LinkedIn for? I
Well,
don't
actually,
necessarily.
musicians are pretty clueless about Facebook.
Yeah, that's where they're more clueless.
You know, and they
Yeah.
think, oh, and they think Instagram is where it's at.
Yeah.
You know, becoming
Yeah.
Instagram famous.
Yeah. I know.
Total misunderstanding. It's just really truly a misunderstanding about how this works. It's just very much a misunderstanding that
Yeah.
musicians have about this.
Yeah. I know. Because being Instagram famous, I'm not sure exactly what that does for you besides you get hearts on your photos and your videos.
Right. And you've got a bunch of followers
Yeah. People give you
who
hearts.
looked at your photo for a second while they were um, scrolling their feed at 35,000 miles per hour.
In their car, right?
In their car while they're
It's
driving. Yep.
sad. I know.
Yep.
And you can't take hearts to the bank. Last time I checked, they don't exchange that for
They don't cash
currency.
those. They don't cash those. Yeah, totally.
You go to the bank, hey,
Totally.
look at this video. I got 900 likes.
Yep.
They're gonna
Totally.
say, great, that's cool.
Yeah.
You got a check for me to deposit?
Exactly. Totally.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so this is I mean, I don't know that there's anything much more to say about this except
Right.
what does going out like Seinfeld look like for you? And I promise you that it's more than you're doing now, and it's beyond what you're thinking now.
Yeah,
And if you can't imagine it, you should join our next challenge.
exactly. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld still has a career. Let's be
Yep.
clear, you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
So he
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 totally
he
does.
left Seinfeld before he was like too old to do anything else.
Yeah, and everybody knows who he is still.
Yep. And I still love him.
Yep. So
Awesome.
there
This
you
was a
have it.
great, it's a good chat.
It was. Please feel free to come into the Classical Cats and tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're right. Uh, you
Yeah,
know,
we like to talk about stuff in classical cats. I'll start a
yeah, you
convo
should.
about this week.
Yeah, you should join us. You should come in and talk with us about, I don't know, whatever you want. And if you have topic ideas, by the way, feel free to bring them forward.
Yep. Yep, because that happened and we actually did it last week.
We
So
did. We did. Hmm.
nice. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. And in the meantime, see you in classical cats.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you for listening today. Hey, listen, I have a huge favor to ask you, and it will only take a few seconds. If you like this show, one way that you can let us know is by writing a review on iTunes and subscribing to the podcast. Writing a review will help other people to find the podcast and help us immensely. It will only take a few minutes. Just head over to iTunes and search for Crushing Classical. There, you can write a review and click subscribe. Thanks again.